So you have an investment property, a condo, and you're noticing that the Toronto condo market is pretty sluggish. Meanwhile, investing in a house today seems to offer better cash flows, value add opportunities, and the government is really pushing multiplexing in houses. But does it actually make sense to sell your condo now? Well, let's break it down in this video. Let's see how cash flows compare between a house split into 3 units in Toronto versus a typical Toronto condo. Well, when you split a house into 3 rental units, you do get much better rent yields compared to a single condo unit. And because you also don't need to pay condo fees, after covering your mortgage and operating expenses, you still have the potential to cash flow positive at a 20% down payment, especially if you snag a deal on a project. So from an income standpoint, investing in houses do make a lot of sense. Now, you might be thinking that it's not a great time to sell your condo, and that is true if you're only selling your condo. But remember, you're also buying a house at the same time, and since houses in general do cost more than condos, you're actually in a net buy position. And because we're currently in a softer market, this means that you will get more choice to buy from and a better chance to get a deal. Real estate prices generally move inversely with interest rates, and even though we don't expect interest rates to drop like a rock and home prices to skyrocket anytime soon, the risk of prices falling drastically is definitely much lower today compared to a couple of years ago when interest rates just started rising. And this is just another positive signal to buy. Now, let's look at more ways to boost your returns with real estate. There's often a big price difference between houses that are all fixed up and those that need work. And this difference can be more than how much it costs to actually do the renovations, meaning that you can make extra money by fixing up a house yourself. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible with condos, but they do tend to be newer and typically do have less potential for significant value add appreciation. So from both a returns and market standpoint, repositioning your investment from a condo to a house in Toronto does make a lot of sense. You get better cash flow, more value add opportunities, and we are in a good market to make the shift. There are definitely more factors to think about as well, but don't forget to like and subscribe this video for more content like this. When you sell, you'll need to pay selling fees like agent commissions, capital gains tax, and legal fees. When you buy again, the big one is also land transfer taxes. So yes, you will definitely take a hit here. And even if you don't have much capital gains, you're still looking at around 8 to 10% in fees from doing this change. Another thing to remember is that not all property types in Toronto move in the same direction. Lately, condo growth has been slower compared to houses in Toronto because more pre-cons are being finished, adding more new units into the market. On the other hand, the supply of new houses in Toronto will always be limited because there's just not much new land to build on. Then there's also government policies aimed at growing the missing middle in housing, and this has attracted more investors to the house market in Toronto, making houses just generally more competitive with more demand. And we don't expect this trend to change. But either way, it is still tough to predict how exactly the condo and house prices will change in the future. What we do know is that demand should increase as interest rates go down. And also because there hasn't been much construction recently in the past few years because of high interest rates, the new supply of both condos and houses in Toronto will likely tighten in the coming months. And what this means is that competition should also continue to heat up in both markets over the coming months as well. And if you're thinking about making a switch and wondering how much you actually need to get into a house investment in Toronto these days, here's what it might look like. Starting prices for houses in the city of Toronto are around $900,000 right now. Now, the actual capital required depends on your down payment percentage, which we typically put 20%, and whether you take on renovations work. If you buy a fixer-upper, the price will be lower, but you will need the extra money to put in for renovations. So what this means is that you end up putting more money up front in this case, but you do benefit from value add lift if it's done right. And then after the renovations are done, you can potentially free up the cash when you refinance the project at the end. On the other hand, choosing a more expensive, ready-to-rent out multiplex might actually mean less upfront capital and less stress for you since you're not doing renovations. But here, just keep in mind that it will typically mean lower rent yields and lower cash flows, and you do lose out on the chance to get that value add lift as well. But if you're not sure about which investment is good for you, just reach out to our Toronto real estate brokerage. We're all about buying and selling investment properties in Toronto, and we deal with mostly houses and multiplexes, and we'd love to help you make more fact-based investment decisions. Whether you're eyeing a ready-to-go multiplex or you need coaching to convert a single-family home into a multiplex, we're here to help. Here's how it's like to work with us. We'll learn about your situation and teach you everything you need to know to make smarter real estate investment decisions in Toronto. Then we'll search the Toronto real estate market to find you the perfect property that will reach your real estate goals. If your property needs renovations, we have reliable contractors ready to assist, and we'll coach you through this process as well. Plus, our leasing and property management team can also handle renting and managing your property too if you need it. Ready to take the next step? Just head over to this link here and let's start together.